Nice. We are on episode 2. Last episode, Power Rangers get their powers from Zordon. We did a little Zoo Ranger stuff to try to at least see where some of the footage is coming from. Now this episode is titled High Five, and we find out pretty quickly that Trini has a fear of heights. The Zoo Ranger footage that kind of corresponds along with this episode is titled The Revival. Now it's a little more complicated, and I've not seen every episode, so it's going to take me a little while to do all that. We'll say we have to dive into it a little bit because of this damn space shuttle that keeps popping up.
If you slip, you can really hurt yourself.
Yo, man, back off. You're gonna make them nervous.
Nervous? Man, I never get nervous when I climb.
You should be. Guys, I'm gonna be over there at least as down to earth.
You should give it a try.
Are you kidding? You never catch me climbing anything that high. See ya.
Jumping ahead a little bit, I think it's pretty cool that the Netflix special Once and Always actually brings this up, that Trini had a fear of heights when Zach and Billy's talking to her daughter. I'm glad that they brought up her fear of heights in at least the second episode, especially when she's like going way up at least 20 stories into a giant robot.
What the fuck? You guys should try out for the circus.
Nah, the circus don't take geek clowns.
Geek clowns, that's great. That is so funny.
Of course they trick Bulk into doing the rope climb, knowing good and well he can't do it. The thing with this scene is when he does fall, you know, he's pulling the rope down from the ceiling as well, and all the little sheetrock or whatever, it falls on top of him, and he blows out the dust from the sheetrock. However, before it even falls, you see a little bit in his mouth already. It almost ruins the scene. It's still kind of funny. Zoo Ranger footage, of course. But Rita, I mean, she's not really saying anything in the Power Rangers, other than her saying that she's going to trap them in a time warp like she did Zordon. She doesn't really explain on that just yet.
Those Power Rangers are gonna wish they never tangled with me! I'll trap them in a time warp the same way I did Zordon, and when I'm through, the world is going to be mine!
Okay, so I guess this scene is just a little bit important because we find out that Rita's the one that trapped Zordon in the time warp. But how did Zordon trap her in the dumpster if he was in a time warp? This is going to be normal. There's going to be a lot of questionable stuff in this show. And Zoo Ranger, she's got a plan to use the space shuttle and blow up the children. But basically, it's going to be a way to take out the Zoo Rangers as well. I do need to point out she hates kids, and they explain that later on. We'll get to it.
I finally completed a narrow beam transmission module that will allow wave function over an extended interval. Well, aren't y'all excited?
Well, I will be as soon as I figure out what you just said.
So my observation skills as a kid must have been awful, because I'm still not getting over the fact that I did not notice Zach was missing a finger this whole entire time.
He's created a communication device using microwaves.
Affirmative. See, we now have connection to Zordon and Alpha in the command center.
This is Morphinominal. Touch and talk. Like this.
The neutrino power grid must have crossed molecular.
So Billy said the neutrino power grid crossed something, and I don't know. So I got curious on that, of course. Neutrino energy, harnessing the power of cosmic radiation. This is way over my head. Let's just put it that way. And I'm a 40-year-old man, and this is like supposed to be a high school kid. And he's teleporting people. Like, he is way beyond his years. He should not be in high school.
Haters malfunctioned.
Oh, welcome, homeboys, homegirls. What brings you to the hood?
Too much TV.
Something I've noticed rewatching a lot of this is Alpha 5. Like, you can see the actor inside the costume. You can see their chin through the little black thing around their neck. And every time they turn their head, it's clear as day it's their chin. That I cannot look away from. Every time Alpha 5's on screen, I'm watching the chin.
Is the time device ready, or have you messed it up?
I mean, I managed to get it ready, even though Lunkhead here slowed me down.
Now that looks okay.
It's all programmed. It'll fly down to Earth.
And wherever it lands, it'll open up a hole in time.
Finster's monster will trap them in the hole, and they'll be gone forever.
I'm making a new one named Bones. I'm sure he'll be perfect.
He better be. He's going to be overcome.
I am Bones at your service.
Perhaps I should have sent the machine on low.
So Rita sends the space shuttle to Earth to trap the Power Rangers somehow in a time warp. A lot of the city footage is the same as the Zoo Ranger, minus like the children inside the space shuttle and the Japanese newscaster who's following it along. But this scene right here, I understand why they didn't use it in the American footage.
It's Rita. She sent a device to open a time trap, and the Buddy Patrol is gathering outside of town. Find out what they are up to while I analyze the time device.
We're out of here.
There's a lot to question in this show. My biggest question at the moment, why is Jason putting his tank top over top of his hoodie? Is this what the kids call drip?
I don't get it. What are they doing out here?
I don't know, but we better stay here and keep an eye on them.
I don't believe that's a viable option at the moment.
What are you talking about? This is perfect camouflage.
It was about 10 seconds ago. Guys, we got more.
No. Zordon said we gotta try and take care of things on our own before we use our powers. Come on.
I highly doubt that, Jason. I just feel like you really wanted to do this.
Zach, ready. Locked on.
Go!
Let's do it. What the hell is even that?
Shoot, I almost forgot. The whole purpose of this story was to show that Trini gets over her fear of heights.
Billy, you're too high! I'm afraid. But I can do this. Billy needs me.
My power morpher.
I can't do it.
Trini overcomes her fear of heights and saves Billy, and this putty just flies off a cliff, even though he has plenty of time not to.
That was truly morphitudinous, Trini.
Thanks, Billy.
That was indeed morphitudinous.
Congratulations, Power Rangers. You've done a superb job dealing with the putties. And special congratulations to you, Trini, for overcoming your fear in the face of an emergency.
How's Zordon talking to him? I thought Alpha was working on the communicators, and it actually showed Billy earlier not having his communicator on, and his power morpher's still like laying on the ground somewhere, isn't it?
Morphing time!
Power Rangers!
Yeah, let me help you get ahead.
Whoa!
Give the time warp, all of you.
This is weird.
Man.
How strange. Oh. Whoa.
Man, what is this place?
Okay, so this is where the episode gets a little bit kind of wild. And I've rewatched it a couple times just to try to make sense as to where they are. You just have to assume they're in another dimension. Now, the Zoo Ranger footage, I think they're planning on blowing up the space shuttle while the skeleton monster, we'll just call him Bones. His name's Bones, and Power Rangers is... We're just going to call him Bones and Zoo Ranger. Well, Bones fights them. Power Ranger 1 really doesn't make any sense because they don't even explain where they are. Rita just randomly calls forth a giant, and you see footage from the first episode of Zoo Ranger, but it also shows her palace on top of a building. But the bomb explodes, you know, they get thrown out of the building, and somehow, confused in both, somehow both of them end up in like a quarry fighting this giant. In Zoo Ranger, it's a little bit epic because this is the first time you see the guardian beast Tyrannosaurus, and it's just out of nowhere. He just comes and saves the day. And Power Rangers, he calls forth his Zord, which is epic all on its own because he beats it with his Zord by itself. And I wish they'd done this more with the individual fight scenes with the Zords. I think that would be a lot cooler, just to kind of show what they can do. And then they do it a little bit. Power Rangers and the Zoo Rangers have defeated the Giant, the Dora Titan, and Bones. And Zoo Ranger, the children are saved. The space shuttle is used as a projectile, I guess, to open it up so the Tyrannosaurus can finish him off. And in Power Rangers, you know, they defeat the monster, the second monster. Not very often we see more than one monster.
Speaking of which, our communicators are fully functional again, thanks to Zordon and Alpha.
Cool.
So, like, we can teleport and communicate to the command center with these things?
Affirmative.
I knew that communicator wasn't working. I knew it. And Kimberly says the funniest thing ever here.
This is so 90s.
Oh, Trini? I really wanted to express my gratitude in helping me out today.
Yeah, the way you climbed those rocks was more phenomenal. I guess what they say is true. You really don't know what you can do until you're forced to do it. I hope I can get that confident the next time.
Girl, looks like you've definitely overcome your fear of heights.
And that concludes episode 2 of Power Rangers and sort of Zoo Rangers. Final thoughts. It's a fun little episode. It kind of gives you some more insight into the characters. It shows that Zach's kind of a goofball. It shows Trini's pretty strong-minded and that Billy is like a super genius. I don't know how he's doing all this stuff. But, I mean, it's setting the foundation for these characters for later episodes. This is a wacky episode to even try to adapt into a storyline for American kids. I guess they do it okay. I'm sure it's not going to be the weirdest thing they make. Fun little episode, and I will catch you guys next time.